Hey, it's Nadia with Empower Counseling. Are you a parent of a teen and feel like your teen has been abducted and replaced by a changeling? This video is for you. So we're talking about teenage anxiety. So how do you know if your teen is dealing with anxiety and what you can do? First, let's talk about where it comes from. So anxiety can be genetic. So somebody else in the family may have experienced anxiety. It could be a learned behavior. So if they're seeing a family member that's super anxious, or a sibling, or even maybe their friends, they might kind of adopt that anxiety for themselves. So they're learning situations that they're like, okay, I need to be anxious about that for X, Y, and Z, right? Learned behavior. Anxiety is caused by obviously stressful life circumstances, and there's a lot of stress when you're a teenager. You're dealing with school, you're dealing with all these other personalities while you're still developing your own. We all remember, right? We all remember being teenagers, and it was not easy at all. There could be those other life circumstances. So again, stressful. So parents getting divorced, having to move homes, losing friends, going to a new school, just having to engage in like new activities, new sports, those kinds of things that teenagers often feel like defines their personality or their identity. So that would go very well when it comes to friend groups, because oftentimes teenagers feel very intertwined with their friends. So it's almost like if they're not in that friend group anymore, if they're having issues with one of those friends, it challenges their identity, right? Who are they if they don't have that friend? It's not realistic, but we were all there when we were teenagers. Everything is big when you're a teenager, right? Everything. So what about types of anxiety? We've got generalized anxiety, so worrying about everything all the time. Social anxiety, so that comes from a fear of rejection, a fear of embarrassment or failure, so talking to new people, meeting new teachers, having to do class presentations, those kinds of things. There's phobias, so those are very specific objects that are intensely feared. So for example, a fear of snakes. If you are so scared of snakes that you don't even want to go outside, that would be a phobia, right? Because it interferes with your living. You're so scared that it really affects your functioning in a negative way. Then there is the anxiety with panic attacks, that classic, you see it on TV all the time. They feel like they're dying, having a heart attack, those kinds of, end of the world panic attacks from anxiety. There's also the obsessive compulsive anxiety, which is less common. So that's the obsessive thoughts and the urge to honor that compulsion. Sorry. So they feel compelled to turn a light on and off 15 times. And if they don't do it 15 times, they're gonna lose their mind. If you stop them at 14, it's the end of the world, right? So it interferes with functioning in that way. It takes a long time to flick a light switch 15 times, right? So obsessive compulsive behaviors are characterized by really having a negative impact on one's functioning, social, occupational, vocational, etc. Just ways that it interferes with your functioning in a really intense way. So let's talk about the behavioral signs. So that teenager replaced with a changeling, and you're like, where did my kid go? Like, who is this? Why are they so mean? So behavioral signs of teenage individuals with anxiety, it could be that they are withdrawn, so they're in their room more, they're not hanging out with the family. They might be withdrawing from their social groups as well, Oftentimes they are overly emotional. They're very reactive to anything, right? So it's something that you would just brush off your shoulder, but it is the end of the world for them. So overly emotional, that's a headache, right? So again, going with that withdrawing, isolating yourself, isolating themselves rather. So staying in their room, not wanting to come out, yelling at you for coming in, or even simply knocking on their door. So they're very isolated because of all the anxiety. They got a lot going on and they don't know how to deal with it. There could be a drop in their grades because the anxiety is making it difficult to concentrate. It might make them feel less confident, less motivated, those kinds of things. You might also notice on the flip side, they have this sudden need to be perfect, very intense need for perfectionism. So if they get a B instead of an A, that overly emotional piece is going to come in. It is the end of the world because they aren't perfect, right? So they might seek your approval more. And if you don't give them the approval that they feel they need, they might be overly emotional again. So it's a lot of pressure to feel perfect. They might you might find that they are now doubting themselves. So they're doubting their abilities to do things that you know they can do. They've done it in the past, but now they're doubting themselves. They could be very sensitive to criticism, so they just can't handle it. And that can go along with that perfectionism too, because practice makes perfect, but when you're a teenager, you feel like you should just have the innate ability to be perfect. They could be avoiding previous interests. So maybe they are no longer playing sports or no longer crafting, or being artistic or musical or whatever it is. They're avoiding those things that you know they used to very much enjoy. Let's see. They may also experience a lot of physical symptoms. Maybe they aren't wanting to go to school. When we're looking at the physical symptoms, what's very common is headaches, muscle pain, stomach aches, fatigue, difficulty sleeping, just feeling ill. Also, when we have heightened stress, our immune system kind of lowers. So we are more susceptible to getting sick because we're always stressed out. Anxiety can also result in like increased inflammation in the body, which of course doesn't feel good either. You might find that suddenly your kid is excessively shy. They don't want to do things that's going to require them to meet new people or interact, or be put in the spotlight in any way. So they're suddenly very shy. They could complain about their body. They could complain about their clothes, their hair, their nails, their makeup, etc. They may feel like they don't fit in, and that is a lot of pressure, and that doesn't feel good. As a teenager, we have to fit in somewhere. We can't be alone. And then of course there's like those risky behaviors, such as using nicotine, drugs or alcohol, sneaking out at night, maybe even having sex, those kinds of things that are very risky. Really want to watch out for those as well. And then some other issues, they can't sleep at night, they're worrying, and it's keeping them up at night. Maybe they're having nightmares. Again, like I said before, refusing to go into public or social situations. Even if they know the people, they might be refusing to do that anyways. They might have changes in their eating habits. Maybe they lost their appetite because they're always nauseous from their anxiety. So just watch out for those changes as well. And then again, not handling criticism very well and seeking that approval. And maybe the approval isn't from you. Maybe they're seeking approval from their friends. Maybe they're seeking approval from another family member or their siblings or teachers. etc. So it could be, really seeking approval from someone other than their parents. So what do you do? What do you do when you've got a changeling in your house? Ouch. So first off, it's very important not to label them. So you're not saying, oh my God, you're so shy, or oh, you're just so anxious, you're over dramatic, you're being bad, you're just a difficult kid. Don't label your child. Keep those emotions separate from identity, because the teenagers have a hard enough time doing that on their own, because they are developing that sense of identity. And on that same note, you might find that they're going to reject you more because they are developing a sense of identity, a sense of independence. So being patient, knowing that your kid may be pushing you away and saying, you don't know how I feel, or I know how to do it, those kinds of things. They are learning what it's like to be autonomous, independent, and functioning in whatever their identity is. It's a lot of exploration going on. They're developing a prefrontal cortex. They're learning how to make decisions. So there's a lot going on. It's a rough time being a teenager. You could remember that these things are common. These difficult emotions are normal. You can normalize them for your child without invalidating them or minimizing them. It's important to listen with compassion. Be careful, again, don't invalidate your child, don't minimize them, don't discount their concerns, don't tell them they're being dramatic and things like that. Listen with compassion, and kindness. It's important to take them seriously. What they are expressing to you is a very serious concern, right? So take them seriously, respect their feelings and their emotions and their ideas, their thoughts, all of those things, just as you would want to be respected as well. You can provide reassurance. So if they are feeling anxious about doing something, you can provide reassurance that they're going to do great. So you're their biggest cheerleader. You're just reassuring them that they're not going to fail. And when mistakes are made, they are still not a failure, and it is not the end of the world. It's important to also show gratitude. So if your teenager comes to you with this information, which is not easy for them to come to you with, show gratitude. Thank them for trusting you enough to tell you. Very, very huge. It's so huge that they're coming to you with that information because they trust you. So responding with kindness and thanking them, showing gratitude for them having trusted you. You can also encourage engagement if they're scared to do something. Again, be their biggest cheerleader. So when you're encouraging engagement, you need to be gentle. You're not pushing them out of the nest, so to speak. For example, if they have a class presentation, you can have them practice in front of you, other family, their friends, etc., and just reassure them that they are doing great and they're gonna ace this and they're just gonna kick butt, right? That's what they need. They need that reassurance, and we owe it to them. So also you can praise their bravery for doing things, their courage for facing their fears, those kinds of things. It's going to be very important to praise them. And, remembering that they're not always going to want your help. Don't be offended. Just remember that this is normal. They're learning to be independent and autonomous. I can't stress that enough. Don't be impatient because they want to push you away. Step back. They'll come to you when they're ready, right? So it's not on your time, it's on theirs. There's also being a good role model. So you can, tell them how you have dealt with anxiety in the past, or other ways that you like to relax, those kinds of things. So being a good role model, showing them that these emotions are normal, and showing them that there's ways to handle it, there's ways to relax, those kinds of things. Making family time. So what this means is dedicating a day to do whatever they want to do within reason, obviously, but you let them make the decisions. That feels good. They get to, they don't get to make their own decisions often. They live under your roof. They have rules in school, rules at home, etc. So you're letting them take power of this day. They get to make the decisions. Whatever they say within reason goes. And that makes them feel very confident and very happy. Also, get a medical checkup. Make sure it's nothing physical that's causing these symptoms. Nothing physical that needs to be treated that might alleviate the symptoms that could be associated with a medical issue. So, getting the medical checkup. And then, of course, getting them an appointment with a counselor and/or psychiatrist. Counselors are really, really great with teenagers. It gives them an objective source, someone to trust, someone you as a parent can trust as well. Counselors are really great to be in your kids' corner and kind of help diffuse that bomb. And then finally, if you really want a very specific answer to what's going on with your teen, there are psychological evaluations that can be done. So tests that can really diagnose the problem. If they have like learning difficulties in any sense, these psychological evaluations can help provide recommendations for IE plans, IEP, and those kinds of things that can help them in school, help you know how to help them at home, and those kinds of things. So if all of this really checks those boxes for you as a parent of a teenager, and you are at your last final straw, you can give us a call. If you're in Georgia, you can give us a call at Empower Counseling at 770-283-8386, or check out our website to meet our therapist, schedule a phone consultation, or schedule an appointment at empowercounseling.net. We are here to help bring your kid back and replace the changeling that kind of abducted and took over.